Most horror today leans on cheap tricks. A jump scare here, a scream there. Stories designed not to haunt you, but to simply jolt you. And that's not horror. Not really. Little Nightmares does the opposite. It crawls under your skin, where it lingers, like a deep, deep hunger. Across the entire series, not a single word is spoken. Nothing but silence, aside from a loud hey from Mono, cutting through the quiet of a second game. And yet, the story comes through crystal clear. Not through dialogue, but through atmosphere, through imagery, and through the gluttony. Of course, mysteries remain, but the shape of a story is unmistakable. Children trying to survive in a world that wants nothing but to consume and control them. Today, we'll step into the mall, following Six, and see how this world reshapes her into something unrecognizable. Or maybe into something far too familiar. Welcome to Little Nightmares. Our story begins with a nightmare. How else could it start? A vision that stirs Six awake in the dark. A tall woman in a porcelain mask stands in the shadows. Her elegance slowly gives way to fear as her head turns slowly towards us. Her gaze lingers, cold, unblinking, before the dream dissolves, and we are met with Six. The girl in the yellow raincoat wakes. And she wakes inside a suitcase. A child small enough to be carried like luggage. And this image is carried with us everywhere she goes. The world itself can't help but dwarf her. Doors, tables, pots, even fucking shoes. All built for giants. Not for the likes of you. Not for a child. But size isn't the only thing working against her, as even before any monsters appear, the mall tells you what kind of a place it is. A world where someone's life can end quietly and nobody will notice. And as Six starts to explore the long corridors, the mall shows us the reality of this world. Through a small opening, she crawls into a large room, and in the center, a harrowing sight. A body hangs from the ceiling, legs dangling above a chair. The image is stark, but what's worse is Six's response, or lack thereof. There's no response, no pause, no empathy. She drags the chair out from under the corpse and simply moves on. This is our first glimpse at what this world does to its children. It strips them of empathy, teaching them to survive and only survive. There's no room to care. Six moves deeper into the bowels of the mall, and for a brief moment, it feels empty. Just metal, pipes, and shadows. But then the silence moves. This place isn't dead. It breathes. Crawls, even. The very first threat she faces isn't some towering monster. Oh no. It's leeches. Slick, tarred, and writhing in the dark. One of the few things Six encounters that's no bigger than her. But they are countless. They cling to walls, drop from the ceiling, and flood the floors like a liquid hunger. There's no fight here, no weapon, just a mad rush to escape. It's a small encounter, but it sets the tone. In this world, you don't conquer monsters, you survive them. Once again, Six wanders into a long open hall. It's empty. It's almost built to make her feel exposed. And in the center, mounted high above, is an enormous eye. Its gaze sweeps slowly across the room, bathing the floor in a harsh, white light. Wherever that light falls, the truth is revealed. Children, frozen in place. Not out of fear. No, they've been turned to stone, mid-step. This eye, this security system, it doesn't demand obedience. Oh no. It enforces control. Anything that dares to move is erased, left as a warning to the next. But the crazy thing is, the children must have known what was waiting for them. There was no way of them to not know. And yet, they ran anyways. What does that say about the life on the wall? Whatever life it offers, clearly running is worth risking this sorry fate. Six climbs higher through the stacked cages until she reaches what looks like a nursery. Tiny beds lined in rows as children sleep, motionless and in the dark. She flicks her lighter to life, a brief, trembling flame, when a sound, the slow creak of a door. Instinct takes over, the light dies in her hands, leaving nothing but darkness as something steps inside. Its breathing comes first, then the scraping of teeth, sharp, jarring in the dark, in the silence, like bone grating against bone. A figure shuffles into the room, head twitching, and every movement jagged. From its sides hang arms far too long, sweeping across the floor like antennae feeling for what's out of place. Six sits frozen under the bed, the lighter cold in her hands, as this thing moves away, slowly and scraping, the sound of its teeth lingering long after it's gone. When the monster is gone, the silence doesn't feel safe. It simply lingers. Rows of beds, still as coffins. Children breathing soft like they've learned to not make a sound. He keeps them quiet, still, easy to manage. Six moves between them, lighter off, the dark closing in around her. She moves between the beds, small sounds feel too loud here. And Six moves on, putting distance between herself and the nursery, when, all of a sudden, it hits. The hunger, a sharp hunger, takes hold. She stumbles forward, clutching her stomach. It hurts more than it should. Her stomach growls loud in the quiet. When she realizes beside her are iron bars, and behind those is a canteen. A child sits on the other side, still as a statue, watching. They hesitate for a moment, maybe afraid to be seen helping, when they do something unthinkable. They throw a piece of bread through the bars. Not any piece of bread, their piece of bread. For a moment, they just stare at each other through the metal. Six takes it, eats without thinking. The hunger sleeps for now. Looking at the child, they're curled up and turned away. Here, kindness doesn't save you. It just leaves you with less. Who knows when was the last time they ate? Who knows when they'll eat next? We'll never find out the fate of this child, but they must be hungry. 6 climbs higher, the more rising around her like it never ends. The hunger returns. Sharper now, crueler. At the top, a small room waits. In the center, a cage. Inside, a slab of meat, half gnawed by rats. They scatter as she slowly approaches. Hunger wins over reason. She reaches for the meat, devours it, and the trap snaps shut. The janitor's long arms sweep into frame, slamming the cage closed. When 6 next awakes, she's surrounded by cages, children whimpering inside them, waiting for their turn to be dragged away. She does not hesitate. She rocks her cage back and forth until it crashes onto the floor and splits open. She will not be the victim. She doesn't look back. She doesn't help the others. She climbs over the cages to reach the door before it closes, dragging one of the child's cages even, like the janitor does when she awakes. It isn't mercy that keeps her alive. It's apathy. Quiet, practiced, absolute. Deeper still inside them all, the air changes, warmer, fouler. A smell of him. 6 has reached the janitor's workshop. Under harsh light, the janitor works methodically. He lifts children from cages, wraps them in paper, and hangs their bodies on hooks. Parcels of meat to be sent somewhere else. This is his purpose, his function. He's not hunting for pleasure, though you'd be excused for thinking that. He's processing. Up close, his shape twists into focus. First time we get to see him in pure light. His skin folding where his eyes should be. His face drooping like melted wax. He doesn't look, he listens, head twitching towards every sound, hands sweeping through the dark. The janitor is blind. Above, the conveyor of hooks rattles endlessly, a mechanical reminder of scale, how small 6 really is. The only way forward is past him. Each step lands on soft cloth, the only thing keeping her alive. But doesn't help her, because eventually she does make a noise, and the janitor rushes towards her. She reaches a trapdoor, only escape in sight, but it's locked with a lever. Slow, loud, and quite frankly impossible to rush. She pulls anyway, metal screams through the hall. His hands reach towards her, brushing the edge of her coat as she drops through the hatch. She crawls through the vent, breath ragged, metal scraping her palms. When she drops down again, it's quiet. Too quiet. The room below is filled with shoes. Piles of them, thousands, scattered across the floor like the remains of something that really doesn't need explaining. Before that thought can settle, however, something shifts beneath the piles. Something quick, deliberate, and honestly, far too close. 6 jumps from suitcase to suitcase, the sound of that thing, a haunting reminder to keep moving forward. Whatever it is, 6 has no intentions of finding out. She climbs out of a pile, onto a long corridor, and before she can even catch her breath, he drops down right behind her. Another chase begins, but something is different this time. The janitor isn't just chasing anymore, oh no. He's anticipating. The hall stretches endlessly ahead until an elevator comes into view. A dead end. With nowhere else to go, she crawls inside a wooden box and holds her breath. The air feels close, like the room itself is holding its breath as she waits. The chase doesn't end that quickly though. Thankfully, the janitor is distracted by a gnome running around. As he chases the gnome, we follow him. With every corner, every crawl space we go to, he's right there. All of these chases build up to one last desperate escape. Six is getting chased down a long corridor, and right before the janitor manages to grab her, she manages to slide through an iron gate that's being held open with nothing but a flimsy cage beneath it. A temporary reprieve. But the janitor isn't done with her. His snake-like arms grab through the gap, desperately searching for her. Six climbs across the cages while inside the room, when she thinks of something. That cage isn't too sturdy, and so she goes to tear it apart. Each pull weakens it, with the janitor still desperately trying to grab her, until the metal gives way, and the door crashes down, with the janitor's arms being caught in the crossfire. His mutilated arms now thrash about for a bit, still out of instinct, grabbing for anything that moves. And then they stop. The janitor's now blind, broken, and can't hurt anybody anymore. She stands there for a moment, catching her breath, but only for a moment. And then she climbs into a vent, crawling towards a faint sound of wind above. For now, it's quiet again. Six grabs a hanging hook and holds on tight as it carries her over the darkness. There's nothing below her but the void, until she drops onto something soft? Oh. The wrapped shapes of the children the janitor prepared. I guess we found out where they were being sent. As soon as she lands though, that hunger hits again. Sudden, sharp, merciless. She stumbles forward in pain, searching for something to eat. Anything. And then we can hear a trap snap shut ahead. When we reach the trap, we find a rat inside, twitching, struggling, but still alive. Six limps closer as the pain overcomes her, and she feels that emptiness of hers once again. She rises and the silence breaks. Not far from here, knives clatter, pots boil, and the air gets heavy with heat and grease. When we reach the kitchen, we bump into him. Our next obstacle. The chef. Skin sagging like dough, eyes half sunken, a face shaped by indulgence, not hunger. He moves clumsily between the counters, muttering to himself and breathing heavy with every step. Six ducks beneath a table, watching as the chef's knife flashes above her head. Here, survival is no longer about hiding. It's about staying one step ahead, no matter the noise. Because, unlike the janitor, the chef can see. The deeper Six goes, the more reveals itself. The cages we saw weren't storage. No, they were supply. And this is where the supply ends. An industrial kitchen, where the children are prepared for whatever feast comes next. That simple, yet horrifying truth becomes impossible to ignore when we're asked to do it ourselves. Chunks of meat dropped into a grinder, meat we cut down from a freezer lined with hanging parcels. Now, to be fair, it could be beef, it could be pork, but it isn't. Not here. To move forward, we have to grind down the meat, turning it into a rope of sausage to swing across to a vent. The grinder starts its slow churn, and the sound is wet, relentless. It almost drowns out the thought of what she's grinding up. Almost. Our escape, once again, depends on the bodies that came before us. Now, if there was any doubt about the scale of this operation, the dish room removes it. Hundreds of plates stacked to the ceiling, the leftovers of an endless feast. The chef isn't cooking for a few guests, oh no. He's feeding something much bigger. And luckily for him, he's not alone. Another steps out. Same body, same face, same sound. Like the first was never really alone. Twin beds, twin workstations, and the same grotesque masks. With the slightest differences. We see one reach up and scratch beneath it, revealing soft flesh underneath. What's so horrible underneath those masks that is an improvement? Whatever the case may be, together the twins turn the kitchen into a maze. You can't simply loop around a table anymore, no. One drives you forward and the other cuts you off. Their clumsy teamwork makes every step a risk again. Finally, after a brutal chase, Six manages to climb a stack of plates, catching another hook just as they lunge at her. The hook carries her out of reach. The two have had enough of her and are doing everything in their power to get her out of the kitchen. As the hook carries her away, the chefs get back to work, and at the end of the line, Six finds a ladder. A ladder that climbs towards a light. A way out. But it isn't, sadly. When she steps through, she learns the truth. The moor isn't a building, oh no. It's a ship, drifting alone in the middle of the sea. And from the fog below, we can see them. The guests arrive. Enormous, bloated shapes, waddling in a single file towards the vessel. Whatever waits inside, the feast is only beginning. We've climbed out of the bowels of the moor, and the change is immediate. The metal walls give way to something elegant. Paper lanterns, silk curtains, warm light that hides the rot beneath. This is where the guests arrive. They shuffle in single file, masked and swollen, their steps slow and heavy. The decor feels almost beautiful, if you can ignore what's wearing it. Following them inside, we finally see what all the preparation was for. Processed meat, the endless work, the feast. The guests devour without pause, food spilling from their mouths, hands grabbing for more even as they choke on what's already inside. And then they see Six. Surrounded by mountains of food, they drop everything. The hunger that drives them turns outward. Gluttony becomes greed. They crawl, they scream, they chase, not out of starvation, oh no, but obsession. It's revolting to watch, and worse, that obsession, that hunger, it feels familiar. After weaving past the tables and the gorging guests, Six runs, but they follow. The feast turns into a frenzy, bodies slam together, breaking through walls. A single, shapeless hunger. Like a mass, like a tumor. The room's almost collapsing under that weight. Tables, chairs, the food. It's all swallowed up by the crowd itself. As Six keeps running, she notices an opportunity to escape. She swings across the gap. The mass behind her barely manage to stop as they wail in despair. But Six isn't safe. No, because that hunger returns, sharper and deeper than before. Six drops to her knees for a moment. She somehow manages to make it into the next room, where a gnome waits. Small, fragile, terrified. It holds out a sausage, a gift, a moment of kindness that's returned with cruelty. Six doesn't take the food. She doesn't take the offering. No, she takes the no. This is no longer apathy. Oh no, it's pure cruelty. That hunger that's followed Six since the beginning has changed her. It's changed her into the very things she's been running from. Now, with this horrifying act still lingering, we notice the figure from Six's nightmare, heading up an elevator. She leads us higher into her private quarters, as we follow. The further we climb, the more beautiful the moor becomes. Gold, silk, and quiet, outside of the lady's beautiful humming. Every floor more refined than the one below, as if luxury itself could hide the rot. You see, the janitor was blind. He couldn't see the cruelty he was committing. The chefs wore masks, hiding from the faces beneath their work. And the guests drowned themselves in indulgence. But the lady surrounds herself with perfection, as if beauty could make her clean. The lady's humming fills the halls, as I've mentioned. It's soft, haunting, and it echoes everywhere. We follow the sound upstairs to find her brushing her hair before a broken mirror. She doesn't look at herself. Maybe she can't. We manage to sneak past her, searching for a key, which ends up being hidden inside a vase. And so, we smash that vase, and as soon as we do, the humming stops. Silence. We hide underneath the bed, just like when we first met the janitor, expecting a similar encounter where she walks in and tries searching for us. But she never walks in. Building up courage, we walk out of a room where she was, and she's not there. We walk towards the next room, and immediately the air feels wrong. The room is filled with mannequins, all shaped to look like her. And as we're walking through them, one ends up moving. The lady steps from the dark, faster than anything we've faced up until now. We run, and the only thing saving us from death are the small holes in the walls. We run through halls, we run through the shadows, until we manage to find it. A weapon at last. A mirror. The only one left that is unbroken. For the first time, we can fight back. In the adjacent room we just came from, lights beam down, allowing us to reflect it back into the lady. Each reflection burns her image away. Slowly, she becomes weaker, slower, until eventually, the mirror shatters, and the lady collapses. And with her collapsing, that hunger returns once again. 6 steps forward, the predator and the prey finally meet, and one devours the other, though I don't think it went the way the lady had hoped. When it's all over, 6 doesn't just survive. No, she changes. That hunger, that deep, deep hunger, It isn't a curse anymore. It's no longer a crutch. It's her weapon. She rises in silence back to the guest's dining hall. Those very same halls we ran through moments ago, now bending in her presence. Light bulbs shatter as she walks past, darkness hovering all around her. The guests, just like before, reach out trying to grab her, but this time, they fall. Without a struggle, without a warning, without hesitation, and without any mercy, leaves death in her wake. It's quiet and effortless. A Moor bows before her now. And at the end of this long corridor, a gate opens. Light floods in, and Six walks out. Gnomes behind her, those very gnomes we've encountered everywhere we've gone through, look up at her. For the first time, we can all see her clearly. Not as the victim, not as a child, no. But something new. Something much worse.